Kyle, I'm Angel. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
So, did you find the place alright?
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah, it took me a minute to find some parking, but other than that, yeah, it was pretty easy.
Oh, that's good. Sometimes people have a hard time finding it here. So, how's your day going?
My day is going well. My day is going well.
That's good. So, have you ever been to a dietitian before?
No, this is my first experience, my first time.
So maybe it feels a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a new experience for me. I'm not really sure exactly what to expect, but I'm looking to get some help, so that's why I'm here.
Okay, so let's talk about what made you give me a call to make this appointment today.
Well, the main reason is that my last physical that I went and my last checkup that I went and got wasn't so great. My doctor told me that I have high cholesterol, and with my family history, my dad died of a heart attack pretty early. My family history, I'm really kind of worried that I might not be as healthy as I could be, and I need to try and make some changes. So that's why I came in today.
Okay, so was it sort of a surprise to receive this diagnosis?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a surprise that it was so young, before the age of 60 for me. I felt like I was doing a pretty good job, but as far as the heart disease, it has been a family, something that's ran in the family. So for me, it wasn't so surprising that it was out of the blue, but I definitely wasn't expecting it when I went in.
Okay, so sounds like you're a little apprehensive about this appointment and kind of coming in today and to talk about it and the diagnosis in general?
A little bit. It's hard to make changes, and I know that. And I've tried before in the past, and I haven't really been able to do it on my own. I don't really have the knowledge to know the changes that I need to make in order to be able to be more heart healthy. I guess I don't really have a direction. So.
Well, that's what you're here for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen today with this appointment, and then you can know what to expect.
Okay.
This is something new and maybe a little bit uncomfortable. So we have about 30 minutes to talk today, and first I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions just so I can get to know you a little bit better, and I can just get a sense of your current eating habits and maybe some of your activity patterns. Then we're going to determine what you'd like to accomplish during these visits. And then finally we might get on to making some plans about changes that you might be interested in making, if you're open to that, and if any changes are comfortable to you and kind of fit with you. And then we can reschedule your next appointment if you'd like. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Sounds really good.
Good. Well, let's get started. So first, let's talk a little bit about your medical history. Is there anything besides the cholesterol problem that you were concerned about?
Not really, other than the family history of it. I do know that if I do keep doing whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm probably not going to live a whole lot longer. So I really, that's my main issue is the high cholesterol and the heart disease and controlling that.
That sounds pretty scary to have that concern, to be worried about your health and that sounds pretty scary to be worried about, your health in general, especially when that happened to your dad and
right, yeah,
your grandfather, and you're approaching that age, so.
Yeah, I lost my father young, and I have kids, and I really want to be around for them longer than he was for me, and so that's my main motivation. So, it is really scary to think that, I might not be around to watch them graduate or, whatever it is that, all the big things that go on in their lives, I really want to be around for it. So.
Yeah, those things are really important. So do you want to talk about your losing your dad at a young age a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm always open to talking about it. It was something that really definitely affected my life. My wife is really concerned too, obviously, because, like I was saying, for the same reasons, she would like me to be around. So, she's kind of on me as well. So I think it's a whole family thing, and losing your dad at a younger age is a hard thing, and realizing that it might happen to you too is just it's definitely an eye opener. So
Yeah, and you wouldn't want your children to have to go through the things that you had to go through.
yeah, exactly.
So tell me a little bit about your children.
Well, I have two kids. I have one that's in college that just started, and I have another teenager that's just starting high school. So, they're just getting to that age where my second one's going to be out of the house pretty soon. So, it'll be just my wife and I. So it'll be nice to hopefully maybe have a healthier lifestyle that my wife and I can enjoy. So.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. It sounds like you guys are about to come to a really exciting milestone in your life, and you'd like to be as healthy as you can to kind of make it through there and enjoy those years.
Very much so. Very much so.
So, let's see. It looks like your report from your doctor says that your cholesterol level is just a little bit high. So, I want to bring the cholesterol down, and that your triglycerides are doing pretty good. So right now, you're kind of in the danger zone, but it's not life-threatening. So let's talk about your activity a little bit. So what do you do on a daily basis as far as physical activity? Do you get much?
I don't know if it really counts as physical activity, but I am on my feet all day. I'm actively moving around. I'm a school teacher, so I teach six periods a day at high school. I'm constantly on my feet, but I don't really get a lot of extra exercise outside of that. I don't, I drive back and forth to work, and I don't, other than maybe some light yard work on the weekends. I really don't get very much exercise. So.
Are there outdoor activities that you do enjoy?
Yeah. I grew up playing basketball when I was a kid, and there's other things. My wife and I will take our dog for a walk every once in a while, but I definitely enjoy doing that as well.
Okay, so there are things that you do enjoy that are more physically active.
Yeah, the only problem is this, that I'm being a teacher and being on my feet all day. Sometimes when I come home, if it's been a long, stressful day, I just don't really have the energy to do it. I don't really have the will. We have a treadmill that we have in our room, but it basically has turned into a clothes rack now because we don't ever use it. I might have used it 2 times right after we got it. Now it just sits there. So.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't enjoy those planned, structured activities.
No, it's definitely hard to be inside or even in the house. If I'm getting exercise, I feel like I could either go to the gym or go outside or do something away from the bedroom. So.
Sure, yeah, that definitely sounds enjoyable. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. So let's talk about what you eat. So tell me about a typical day.
Well, I'm pretty good about eating breakfast. When I get up in the morning, I always have my bowl of Raisin Bran every morning. That's pretty much a regular thing for me. And, usually coffee or orange juice, some sort of juice. And usually coffee, at least 1 or 2 cups of coffee to get me going. For lunch, I usually brown bag it just like the kids. Usually a ham sandwich, maybe some chips, a bag of chips, and an apple. Something along those lines. Something fairly similar to what the kids are eating, really. And then for dinner, my family, like I said, my wife and I, we both work. We're both busy, and with the kids, with one being out of the house now, It's hard to really only cook for a small number of people, so it's easier for us to just go out when we don't have the time, so we eat out a lot. And when we do eat out, we usually go get Mexican food or pizza or something like that. And I usually have a tendency to eat maybe a little bit more than I should or I feel comfortable with.
Oh, okay. So, sounds pretty typical. So when you're at home, it sounds like you guys are eating pretty good at home, pretty healthy.
Yeah, when my wife cooks, I mean, I tend to try and cook a couple of nights a week, and then she tries to cook a couple of nights a week, but when it gets really busy, that's when we end up going out. But my wife tends to cook a little bit healthier than I do, just because of the way that we were raised and the cooking methods that we have. But when we do eat, we usually get chicken and rice and vegetables, and usually a pretty balanced meal at home.
So you do enjoy healthier type of meals?
Yeah, I do. I would say that I definitely have, those cravings for a bacon cheeseburger every once in a while, but I do also enjoy, well-balanced meals as well.
So sounds like you might be a little concerned about your eating out habits though.
Yeah, I feel like when we do eat out, we don't make the healthiest choices, I just from what I've heard, just with all the cheese, pizza is definitely not the greatest for me. Like cheeseburgers, that sort of thing. And when I do eat out, I do tend to eat, like I said, a little bit too much. I feel like I don't feel comfortable after eating. So, that is probably an issue.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Then there's some things that we could talk about later also if you're comfortable with that. So is there times during the day where you just grab a snack or do you pretty much stick to your 3 meals?
I do have a snack every once in a while. Sometimes at school, I have my prep period. Sometimes I'll have some popcorn and, make guys popcorn. Every once in a while at night I'll have a bowl of ice cream. So usually one or the other, but I usually do have at least some sort of snack during the day to kind of hold me over.
So typically every day you have some sort of little snack sometimes?
Yeah, I would say 95% of the time.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like what you're telling me is that, you're just a little bit upset about the cholesterol thing, and you eat pretty well, maybe not exactly as perfectly as you'd like, and you may be thinking about adding a little more activity than you get right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Pretty much all those sound good.
Okay, well let's talk a little bit about what you'd like to accomplish during these visits.
Okay.
So what kind of changes were you thinking of making?
Well, I'm really interested in trying to eat a more well-balanced diet in general. I really do enjoy eating out. I really do. I don't, my wife and I have cooked for our 2 boys while they've been growing up the whole time, and we kind of have gotten to the point now where we're tired and getting home from work, it just kind of makes more work for us. So we do like to go out, and I'm really kind of afraid that making these changes is going to mean that I don't get to go out quite as often, and I don't get to enjoy that sort of environment, and I won't get to enjoy those foods anymore. So that concerns me.
Oh, so you really enjoy the going out, and
Yeah.
just the social aspect of it, and just being able to enjoy that freedom that you haven't had because you've been raising children all these years.
Right, yeah. And my wife and I worked really hard, and we have the means to be able to do it. So it's kind of just one of those things that we've kind of just made it part of our lifestyle. So it would be really hard to change that. So I really don't want to have to do that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can work around that and talk about some other strategies that we can do. So does that sound like something that's really important to you?
As far as eating out, it's probably, I would say that's my biggest fear, is having, to cook, having to change so much that in order to be healthy, I would have to cook 6 or 7 days a week. That is probably my biggest fear, so that's probably the most important thing to me. As far as what I don't want to have to change, that would be the biggest thing. So I would say that's probably, I would say very important.
And are there any other things that you think might hinder you from making these changes in your life to try to lower your cholesterol?
I know that the overall lifestyle change that I really kind of see that I need to make, out of all of the things, or any of the things that I can kind of see, it's the physical activity part for me. I know that there's just not, I don't have the energy, and there's really not the time right now for me to be able to get a lot of physical activity, a lot of exercise, and I think that and is a barrier to the exercise is definitely my work. As far as the food thing, my work is probably another barrier as far as that's concerned, because just the amount of sheer time that I have to put into it and how tired I am when I get home. So I would say those are probably the two biggest barriers.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're really serious about teaching. Sounds like you're a pretty good teacher.
Yeah, definitely, and I still have good 10 years I'm thinking before I can retire. So I still need to take care of myself while I'm doing this. So.
Yeah, of course you want to do what you enjoy for as long as you can. So is there anything else you mentioned that maybe the time commitment of your job might hinder you from making a lot of changes, and also that you're not really that motivated to change your diet because you're really enjoying it? Is there anything else that might be barriers?
Not really that I can, not that I can think of. The main thing for me is, knowing now that, my status has gotten to the point where I'm not considered healthy. I think that a lot of the barriers that were outside influences aren't necessarily as important anymore. I realize that I really need to change my habits in order to be able to do it. So I would say that that's probably it. I don't think there's any other barriers other than just really not wanting to kind of change how I eat out at least.
Yeah, that can be difficult. Such a surprise. First of all, the doctor gives you this information, you think you're leading this healthy lifestyle, and then all of a sudden recommends to see a dietitian, and that you might have to make some changes in your life when you're coming to a point in your life where you're really starting to just do what you want to do instead of what you want to do for your children.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of a shock to, now. To me, I kind of get the feeling that it means more work now for me to try and get to that healthy point. It kind of feels like it's work after work, and that's maybe that's another barrier as well. Maybe that's the main thing, is that it's really hard for me to get motivated when I don't have a lot of energy. So I guess maybe that's the main thing.
Okay, well, let's see. Would you be interested in hearing about some things that have helped other people make these kind of changes in their life?
Absolutely.
Okay, I see a lot of clients that have the same problem with you with the high cholesterol, and it's really common, and there's so many different things that we can try, and we can just start off slow, and I have a little chart right here that explains some of the things. And so one of the things that's helped some of my clients is to add fiber. Another thing is to decrease their saturated and their trans fats in their diet. And another thing that's helped lower their cholesterol is to increase their physical activity. Do you think any of these things would be something that you would like to hear more about?
The physical activity aspect of it is pretty interesting to me. I would say that I'm probably more motivated to try and get more exercise than I am in changing my diet right now, even though I know that my diet is very important. I feel like I just feel like the change would be easier for me to start maybe getting some exercise. So maybe going over some ways on how I could increase my physical activity.
Okay, that sounds great. So let's talk about some things. So let's see, before we start talking about them, on a scale of 0 to 10, how motivated are you, do you think, to start incorporating more physical activity into your lifestyle?
I would say that right now, on a scale of 0 to 10, probably about, I'm going to go with an 8 right now. I would say that before all this happened, it was probably closer to a 5 or a 6, but now, in understanding the changes that I need to make, I would say it's probably more of that, about an 8 right now. So
it sounds like you're pretty motivated.
I'm definitely motivated to make that change, definitely.
So tell me a little bit more about that. Why 8? If you're so motivated, why not 10?
Well, I think it's kind of a fear of, just not being able to maybe maintain it or to be able to get any sort of consistency out of it. And I think just the main reason being in that I haven't really done a lot of physical activity in recent years, and I feel like, my joints are kind of stiff, and so I just kind of have a general kind of angst or anxiety about getting back into the whole exercising realm of life, but and I think maybe that holds me back a little bit, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, it can be kind of scary to start something new, especially when you're not 20 years old anymore and worried about how your joints are going to be creaking around and things when you start doing things.
Right, I can't really afford to be getting hurt, so I look at that too when it comes to playing some of the sports that I enjoy. I don't want to have to be out of work for a long period of time. So.
Oh, that's definitely a concern.
Yeah, being 57, I know it's a little bit easier to get injured these days.
So let's see. Do you want to talk about some of the things that you can do to increase activity?
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a very busy schedule, and it sounds like every day is pretty much planned out, every hour.
Pretty much for the most part, yeah. During the week at least, yeah.
So are there times in a week that you think maybe some days would be better than others to try to make these changes in your physical activity?
Well, I really only have about 45 minutes for lunch at school, and it really isn't enough for me to be able to really, if I'm going to go get something to eat or if I stay on campus, I'm usually answering some of the kids' questions and whatnot, so I don't really have a lot of extra time at lunch, but there is times in the evening, maybe right after dinner. There's always, I could make at least a half an hour, 15 minutes to a half an hour. I do every once in a while. Like I said, my wife and I will take our dogs for a walk and get some physical activity that way, but it's pretty rare that we do that. But I'm more inclined on the weekends. I do have time on the weekends.
So do you think on the weekends then maybe you could plan to incorporate some activities, maybe not even like boring things like the treadmill or going to the gym, but maybe something more fun like playing a club sport with the same age group?
I really do enjoy, like I said, I do enjoy playing basketball, but I kind of have a creaky knee, and it does kind of concern me. But maybe just being able to go out and shoot around, maybe even just with, another friend or something, just being able to go out and kind of just in the evenings or whatnot, maybe just shoot a couple baskets or even, take walks or, things of that nature. I enjoy playing tennis, and my wife and I play tennis together, so that's another thing that we could incorporate.
So it sounds like you're already coming up with your own plan and starting to think of some things that might even be enjoyable.
Yeah, it's funny when you put it like that. I know, I just didn't really think of it. It's funny when when you actually kind of think about some of the things that you missed doing before, it really does, it does kind of make you think that it's not that hard to do it again.
Yeah, I think if you just started out and planned something, then maybe it would be easier. So,
Sounds good.
what if you did things like walked or rode your bike to school? Would that be something that you think you can?
I live pretty far from the school that I work at now, and I have to take some pretty busy major roads, and it's right in the rush hour traffic, and I just really don't feel comfortable riding my bike to and from school. And to walk, it's just too far. I think it would probably take anywhere from probably about 45 minutes, maybe to an hour to walk, depending on how busy and how much traffic there was. So that's something that I've definitely thought about before, and at the school that I was teaching before this current place that I am now, it was closer, and I probably could have done that, but I don't think I
Well, that has worked for some people, but it doesn't sound like it's a very good option for you. And it sounds like you've already thought of some enjoyable ways that you could incorporate physical activity into your week. And what if have you ever tried other things? Some people like to garden, or sometimes just parking at the end of the parking lot, or walking up the stairs, or maybe mowing your lawn with a push mower instead of an electric mower or battery operated mower. And then, or maybe just like washing your car, or general things like that. Those kind of things have been really effective. Just kind of looking at your overall physical activity in the day, not necessarily a scheduled thing, such as going to the gym for 45 minutes on the treadmill, but just in general, just trying to see how you can move a little bit more throughout your day. That might help you be able to enjoy more things like basketball and tennis with other people, and like get the little creaks out. And I know that's worked for some other clients. Do any of those things sound like something that you think you could try?
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you were talking about mowing the lawn, because, my wife and I have gotten to the point where we're pretty comfortable, and my yard isn't huge, but, a couple years back we did buy a tractor ride-on lawnmower for me to mow. It just made it easier for me, but now I'm starting to think that maybe it would probably be better for me to break out the just good old push mower that we have, collecting cobwebs in the garage, maybe get out and use it. That's something that I never really thought of as a way to get physical activity, but that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, there's lots of different things that you could do. It sounds like you're already coming up with a few on your own.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said about the mower thing, that's a good suggestion. I feel like that's definitely a good idea.
So, on a scale of 0 to 10, after we've talked about some of these things, how motivated do you think you are now to make some of these changes?
I would say now, I feel like, now that we've kind of talked about some of the ways that I can make some simple changes, I feel a lot more comfortable with it, and I feel like I'm definitely up around a 9 or a 10, somewhere in that range, somewhere where I feel like I'm almost motivated to try and go do something today.
Oh, great. So, can you think of anything that might stop you from that, or might lower your number once you leave here and go home?
Well, other than just kind of the rigors of life, like I was saying, if things get really busy, my only issue is sometimes my problem that I have with a schedule is that I'll prioritize things, and if I think that things don't have as much of a priority, and and then something else is taking up my time, then I'll bump that kind of out of the way. So if the physical activity is in my schedule, even though I might be really motivated to do it, if I get really busy, that might not be the biggest priority. So I might bump it out of the schedule and not do that.
So maybe we could talk about your priorities. So, like, how important is it that your cholesterol is lower to you?
Well, I mean, that's really, like I said, that's my main motivation for being here today is the actual health aspect of it. I feel like I eat okay. I don't, I don't eat the greatest, but just to see how unhealthy I am from what I've been doing, I'm very motivated to change my lifestyle.
So maybe it's a little higher on your priority list than you kind of thought at first.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would say up until the time that I went to the doctor and had this diagnosis, I would say that my motivation level was probably, it would probably be more like 5 or 6. Definitely. So just the fact that I, go in and have the doctor tell you that, you're headed down the same road that your father who died early is, then it's pretty scary.
Yeah, so it is pretty important to you.
Yeah, it's very important.
So let's see. Did you want to try to experiment and see if maybe for the next week until you come in again that you can try to incorporate some of these changes that we talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than willing to try some things.
So it sounds like you're pretty motivated.
Yeah, very.
So let's make a little plan. So what kinds of things, let's think about tomorrow's Saturday. What do you think you could add into your day that you could?
Well, like we were talking about, the lawn needs to be mowed, so I think maybe I'll have to break out the good old push mower tomorrow, and I'll do it the good old-fashioned way and put some sweat into it, and I think that would be a good way. I'll have to, I can talk with my wife and see if maybe she wants to go play some tennis. Maybe I can get out with my kid and play some catch, maybe shoot some hoops, something like that. So, yeah.
So it sounds like quite a few things that you think you can add into your
I don't know.
Saturday.
Those are some things that I could do. I don't know if I could do all of them. I don't know if I could get them all in, but I definitely.
Let's talk about one thing that you can do tomorrow that you can almost say positively you can do.
All right. Well, I think the lawn mowing that's going to have to get done. So that's
Okay.
something that I definitely need to do.
So let's make that one of your goals. You're going to mow the lawn on Saturday.
Okay.
And then how about Sunday?
I have a couple of things going on Sunday. Family's going to run some errands in the afternoon. I don't really have much going on Sunday, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really know.
So do you think there's anything that you can, like maybe in the evening, like after all the family obligations are done?
Yeah, maybe maybe we can start making it a thing to every Sunday night take the dog for a walk after dinner.
That sounds like a great idea.
A long walk. So.
And then how much do you think, how motivated are you to do that? Are you pretty confident that that'll happen?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident I can do that. I would say I'm very confident that.
That sounds great. So it sounds like you have something for Saturday and Sunday. Do you think that that's enough for now? Do you want to just keep your goals a little bit lower? Just maybe add something small on the weekends and then kind of go through your week and then we'll...
Yeah, it is kind of a stressful time right now. I've got report cards coming up, so I'm grading all kinds of papers. So I am very involved, and even on the weekends, and even this weekend, I'll probably be sitting down at the dinner table a lot, just grading a lot of papers. So I would say that to start out small, maybe just a couple of times a week, maybe just doing just more than I was before. That'll give me I don't know, I wouldn't say motivation, but maybe it'll give me the self-esteem to know that I can do it. So.
I agree. I think that that's a great place to start. And I think that you sound very motivated. It's very encouraging to hear you come up with these ideas on your own and kind of think of a plan that you actually can do. And so let's make those 2 activities for the weekend your goal. And then let's talk about maybe one of the other things that's more important to you that we can talk about next time.
Okay.
So we're already planning on increasing your activity. Are any of the other two ideas that I've talked about something that you're more concerned about?
Well, the decreasing the saturated and trans fats is, I'm not exactly sure what that means as far as what I need to do, but I would definitely really like to maybe focus on that next time, just so I can, incorporate starting to change my eating habits as well, on top of getting some physical activity, and that way, like one small change at a time, I feel like, and then I can, slowly incorporate these things into my life. So, yeah.
That's a great place to start, and then maybe next time we can talk about trying to decrease your saturated and trans fats.
Okay.
Okay, so is this a good time for you to come in on Friday afternoons after work?
Yeah, this is perfect. This was perfect time.
Okay, so I'll see you at the next time next week, and in the meantime, just think about the things that we talked about today, and then try to remember what's motivating you, and remember how high your motivation is. You said you're up to a 9 or a 10 now, so that's kind of exciting. And then you can just maybe get a little bit excited about those activities that you're going to add, and thinking about the future with your children and during the week.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate the stuff that you've gone over with me and the suggestions that you've made. Definitely has helped me come up with some ideas that I feel like I can really do. So yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. Well, it was so great to meet you today, Kyle. I'm so glad you came in today, and I'm really excited to be part of this plan with you and helping you get healthy and lower your cholesterol. And I do have a little tip sheet that have some tips about maybe increasing your activity and some motivating factors, and some other things that you can do in your life. So if you have time, you can look that over, or if maybe you're feeling like you're not quite as motivated as you were when you left today, maybe you can read over that and it might help you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, well, you have a great day.
All right, thanks,
Thank
Angel.
you.
All right.